Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Layla, and for today's video we are doing a subscriber financial review. If you are interested in submitting your financial situation and information for me to create an anonymous video just like this one, you can do so at my email that's down in the description box. You'll also find a list of things that would be helpful for you to include in your email. But I do want to call out that I have quite a few of these piled up in my inbox, so it's going to take me several weeks until I get to yours. On the other hand, if you would prefer to work with me one-on-one, I do also offer that. I receive a lot of these emails, and when I read through them, I'm always thinking this person would be better suited for one-on-one sessions. So if you are interested in getting a second set of eyes on your finances, getting help with budgeting, saving, creating a custom debt plan, any of that stuff, definitely check out my website. That is linked down below. I will also soon be starting group coaching. So if you're interested in that, I do have a wait list. I have that link down below where you can enter your name and email and you will be the first to hear about it. Final thing before I get into this financial situation is that if you leave a comment on this video, just keep in mind that this is a real human being that this video is about. So they will be watching this video and they will likely read the comments. So just be sure that your comment is friendly. I'm all for being helpful, but just make sure that it is also kind and it wouldn't hurt anybody's feelings. With that, I'm going to go ahead and read this email to you and we can get into it. I believe this is a gentleman, so I will be saying he throughout this email. All right, he said, to provide you with some context, my financial journey has been characterized by both triumphs and tribulations. After a 26-year marriage, I found myself divorced 4 years ago and faced the challenge of dealing with joint financial obligations from that chapter of my life. In 2018, I took the step of filing for bankruptcy, a decision that allowed me to disentangle myself from the burden of marital debt. However, the path since then has been far from smooth. Now, I just want to say here that I am so very sorry to hear, that you've gotten a divorce after 26 years. No matter what, that's just very sad. That's a very long time to be with somebody, to be married to somebody, and for it to end, no matter what the situation, is very sad. And I know that it's also a huge financial burden, especially if you have debt, but just divorce in general, when kids are involved, when finances are involved and assets are involved, it can get really, really complicated. And I have seen situations, not personally, I've just read them online. I've seen where people have actually fired, like they retired early, but then got a divorce during that journey and ended up having to go back to work because of their finances were so messed up. And but yeah, it can really mess with your financial situation. And I'm very sorry to hear that. In January 2021, an unexpected twist occurred when my paid-off car was rear-ended and declared a total loss. While I received $10,000 as compensation, equivalent to the car's purchase price, I failed to diligently explore cost-effective replacement options. Consequently, I am now financing a 2020 Toyota Camry, incurring a monthly payment of $356. This transition from a car with no payments to this new expense has significantly impacted my budget. The effects have been amplified this year with the backdrop of rising inflation and a renewed commitment to addressing my financial standing. We'll talk about the car situation because I think automatically people will think oh, just sell the car. I don't think that's the right situation for him. You'll see that he has a low interest rate on this car. Toyota Camry is very reliable, and at this point, it kind of just is what it is. He actually bought a car at the right time, luckily. As unfortunate as that is, to have a paid off car and then to have a total loss, that's super upsetting. And then to not go into it as wisely as as he wanted to is unfortunate. However, if you look at the cost and the interest rates of cars now, he has a pretty good deal. So I think he's okay with keeping that car and making payments. My accumulating debt can be attributed to various factors, including unpreparedness for annual alimony taxes, a few trips to visit my adult children, the purchase of a laptop for graduate school, unexpected car repair expenses for my previous vehicle, personal styling expenditures, and fees related to career coaching. While I have made substantial progress in terms of personal growth and healing, the financial weight of my circumstances continues to induce significant anxiety. This year has been pivotal, as it has prompted me to reevaluate the feasibility of my goals and question whether my financial strategy to achieve them is indeed optimal. He uses a lot of large words, like just words I'm not used to saying on a day-to-day basis. So I'm like having trouble reading this. I don't know if y'all can tell. All right, I'm sorry, back to it. I regret to say that I dropped out of my graduate program. Approximately $17,000 of my student loan debt was incurred to support both myself and my children during a turbulent period following my divorce. At that time, my children were in college, and the resulting scandal had far-reaching consequences on both our financial stability and emotional well-being. On a brighter note, my children have since completed their college education and have secured stable employment in their respective fields of study. That's great news. My aspiration was to complete my master's in accounting with the ultimate goal of transitioning into a career as a forensic accountant. Regrettably, during my second attempt to complete the degree, I allowed various distractions at work and in my personal life to hinder my progress. I must admit that I am deeply embarrassed and shocked to find myself carrying student loan debt without the accompanying degree. In the past, 2 separate financial advisors suggested that I save $10,000 and then aggressively tackle my debt. However, I only managed to accumulate $4,000 before diverting those funds toward other life expenses. I appreciate the clarity of Dave Ramsey's baby step approach, but I often contemplate whether I should continue investing the minimum in my 401k to secure the company match. My challenge lies in formulating a clear plan to increase my income, a matter I am actively working on addressing. Given your remarkable expertise and experience in financial matters, I would be immensely grateful for your insights into my financial predicament. I believe your guidance holds the key to forging a more sustainable financial path and mitigating the anxiety that has weighed heavily on me. I will pop up the income that he sent me. It looks like he gets paid twice a month, and it's $1,955.82 per paycheck. So he's probably making like $54,000 to $60,000 per year. He does receive some alimony income. It looks like he probably has a side hustle of doing some Instacart, but he put 0 on here. And yeah, the pulled from sinking fund, that's just something that I include on. He used my little spreadsheet that I share for free, so that was probably already on there. And then he did send all of his expenses and just kind of like a basic budget, it looks like, for month to month. I did end up putting this into my own spreadsheet, so we're going to talk about this, but I just wanted to show y'all here first. But there were 2 main things that stood out to me on here. That would be the fun money at $200, as well as mani-pedi at $85. Automatically, I'm like, mani-pedi out. I don't know if that's on a monthly basis. I'm going to assume so. I know it's $85, and in the grand scheme of things, that's not that much money. But for this situation, which we're going to get more into, I'm going to say that's a 0. That should be a 0. With the fun money, I don't know exactly what this includes. I noticed that on this list of expenses, he doesn't have food out as a line item, so maybe that's what's included in here. So I would lower this a little bit, and I'll show you the adjustments that I would make right off the bat with this when I go to my spreadsheets. He did share that emergency savings is at $1,200 and the goal there is $3,000. He mentioned that a couple of advisors said to save up $10,000 and then, go crazy on debt, paying down debt. I'm assuming they're saying to save up $10,000 as an emergency fund. In my opinion, that's going to take you too long to get to that before you can start tackling your debt. And it's just, I don't know, this one was a tough one just because you can see here that his age, he's 52 years old. And I'm assuming, I don't know if this is all that he has. 401k, it says $8,000 and that he's paused contributions. And if he only has $8,000 in his retirement account, like you're 52, you need to start focusing on that. And I would say like your credit card debt and your personal loan, those are emergencies in and of itself. Like no, not a direct put out the fire type of emergency, but the interest rate on those compared to, what the emergency fund would protect you from it's more important to focus on the debt, in my opinion. So my thought process is kind of just continue saving a little bit every single month, but more so focusing on the higher interest loans and then heavily focusing on investing. And I'll show you everything broken down by numbers in just a bit, but just going into it, that's what I'm thinking. And then with the 401k here, he says 8,000 paused contributions. And he didn't mention how much his employer matches, but I think he should be contributing up to the match. So I'm just going to assume it's like 3%, 4%. And you'll see in my spreadsheet, I was just kind of more conservative with the numbers that he could put extra to his debt. So because if his income does end up being lower from contributing to the 401k, then that would make up for it. So I think he could probably be contributing like 150 to 200 per month to a 401k, depending on what the match is. And yeah, you should definitely be doing that if it is a match that's vested immediately, because that is like free money and you're 52 years old. And then he did list his debts: a credit card, student loan, car payment, and then personal loans. You can see the interest rates on the right. He didn't put the minimum payment for the personal loan, but based off of his expenses, that is $178. And then the student loan is actually $168.84. So I think he might have mixed that one up with the personal loan, but that's what I'm going based off of. And altogether, he has $58,763 of debt. I usually say this at the beginning, but I forgot. I received this email like a month and a half ago, so some of these numbers are not going to be correct right now, or they're not current, but I'm just going to offer suggestions as if I just received this email per usual. So with all of that information, let's go ahead and hop to my spreadsheets, because there's kind of a lot to go over. All right, we are starting on my debt snowball / avalanche tracker. This is available for purchase on my Etsy shop. That is always linked down below. And what we're looking at here are all of his debts listed from highest interest rate to lowest interest rate, and as if he was not going to make any extra payments. So this would just be the minimum payments until everything was paid off. And this actually honestly, it's not too bad, because he could, if he just made minimum payments, he would be debt-free in about 14 years or so, almost 15 years, but a little bit less than that, which isn't the worst case scenario, you know? But this is going to cost him a lot in interest, especially on the credit card and the personal loan, because those have the highest interest rates. So the credit card, he would end up paying, like over $5,000 in interest. And then on the personal loan, that would be like more than double what he actually took out on that. I mean, even the student loans, he would pay a lot more than he needs to. So in my opinion, I don't think he should take that long to pay things down. There should be a little bit of a mix of things, and I'm gonna explain that right now. So first up, we're gonna look at his expenses, the budget he sent to me. Unfortunately, I can't fit everything onto one screen, but it's all here. I did rearrange things a little bit just so, they could be kind of grouped together, where I thought it made a little bit more sense. For his income, if we add everything up, that came to $4,411.64. I didn't change anything on the numbers that he gave me except for the credit card. He said that he does, I don't know if that's accurate, like if he put 100 for credit card, but the minimum payment is $92.82, so I just put it down to the minimum payment instead of 100. But yeah, everything else is exactly as he sent it. And if we look at the difference between his expenses and his income, he's left with about $370 if he sticks to this budget perfectly. The good news is that he does have some room in here for sinking funds. And then I guess I should put this as car repairs sinking fund. So quite a few sinking funds. And then, like I said, the manicure pedicure is in there for $85, and also some fun money. So he's not living paycheck to paycheck, because there is some room in there for other things, but we can definitely improve the way he allocates his money. So first up is this updated list of expenses. And I highlighted in yellow anything that I changed. So I'm actually going to start at the bottom, because that's, quicker to go through. So mani-pedi, I put that at 0. I don't think you should be doing that whatsoever. I promise you will be okay without your manicures and pedicures. You can do them at home, trim your nails at home, do whatever you need to do at home for the time being. I think that there will come a time in your life where you can resume that again, but at this point, personally, I believe it should be eliminated. Next is fun money. So he was budgeting $200 for that. I lowered it down to $100. As I said before, I don't know what is included in here, but I would think that you could get it down to $100, assuming that this is like going out and doing things, or maybe even going out to eat, getting drinks type of thing. So I just dropped that by $100. So with those changes, that left him with a little bit of extra cash. So actually, let me take this out. So you'll see credit card is highlighted yellow because I did the minimum payment plus like a little bit of extra, and that was $350. So he has about $555 left over. So I popped on an extra, this is his minimum payment, $92.82, and I think he could make a $350 extra payment per month for quite some time. Now, the reason I didn't use more of this difference down here is because I kept his income the same. But as I mentioned before, I would suggest that he does start contributing up to the match for his 401k so that he can take advantage of that. So his income will likely be a couple $100 lower. So I wanted to be conservative with how much he can actually put to his debt for now. And of course, I prefer the debt avalanche method. So you would be focusing on one debt at a time, making the minimum payments on all of your debts except for the one with the highest interest rate. And for him, that is his credit card debt. If we hop back over here, we have everything listed out the same. However, he would be putting an additional $350 to his credit card until it is completely paid off. And he would be able to do that by November 2024. So about 1 year from now, he can be completely credit card debt free. And if we hop back over here, you'll see that I had put this updated expense list is from now until November 2024. So that's when the credit card would be paid off. You'll also notice that I didn't touch any of his sinking funds, so he can still be saving. He'll be putting some to the gift sinking fund, the tax, the car repairs, and also even just his like general savings. So I'm assuming that's his emergency fund. So for the next year, he could continue adding to his emergency fund and building that up while also paying down a whole credit card. Now, obviously something could pop up where he needs to use his emergency fund, but that's just not something I can predict, of course. The good news is that he is renting. He doesn't own a home, so that eliminates one major expense. He has adult children, not young children, so they are probably not very dependent on him or his ex, so that is good. The other thing not accounted for here are any lump sums of cash that he may receive. So if he could sell things around the house, any tax refunds, any sort of bonuses that he could get. He was talking about increasing his income, so maybe he will get to that point over the next year and see some differences there. But this is just going off of what I know from these numbers and from his email. Now, after that, I suggest focusing on the personal loan because that interest rate is also pretty high. So I kept these the same. The fund money is at 100, mani-pedi is at 0. I still kept his savings and sinking funds on here, but this time you'll see that credit card is no longer on here, so he'll be credit card debt free and hopefully keep it that way. But then he's going to be focusing on his personal loan and only his personal loan, still making minimum payments on the student loans as well as his car. And that also includes a snowball payment. So this $620.82 is the $178 minimum payment for the personal loan, the $92.82 minimum payment from the credit card, plus the extra $350. So basically just an extra $350 on top of the snowball that's accounted for in this spreadsheet. So again, the $350 just continues, and I highlighted this November 2024 because that's when he would pay off the credit card. And then you'll see that he'll pay off the personal loan by October 2025. So 1 year after he's credit card debt free, he will be personal loan debt free, which is great because by that point he will have gotten rid of his 2 highest interest rate debts. The student loans are still a little bit high. 6% is a bit high, but that is better than, 16% and almost 11%. And the same thing goes with this one. Throughout this whole time, he would ideally be contributing up to the match for his 401k. And then if he gets any lump sums of cash, that's not accounted for here. So if he gets any tax refunds, bonuses, etc., he can likely make even faster progress. And then you'll notice with this one that this would cover from December 2024 through October 2025. After that, I think he should switch his focus to investing, actually. You'll notice that obviously the credit card is gone, but also the personal loan is now eliminated from his list of expenses. I kept the fun money and Manny slash Petty the same as they were. And then you'll see down here at the bottom that I popped on $550 for investing. Now I put Roth IRA ? Just because I think that's probably the best next step. He's already contributing up to the match on his 401k, and then I think he should take advantage of the Roth IRA or maybe more to his 401k. If y'all have any opinions on that, feel free to share, because at this point he'll be about 54 years old or so. So if you have any insight on the best avenues to invest in at that point, then feel free to share. I suggest the Roth IRA though. One thing you'll notice is that the student loan, if you look back here, the minimum payment is $168.84. It is possible that this minimum payment could change throughout the next couple of years, but I'm not sure, so I just kept it at that. But I still think he should put a little bit extra to his student loans and his debt in general. So student loan and then his car, because if he doesn't, the interest is going to kind of take over and he probably won't be debt-free for a very long time. So you'll see that even by him just putting an extra $100 to his student loan and to his car loan, he'll be debt-free much faster than if he were not to do that. I actually had to put these numbers onto a new debt avalanche spreadsheet. So you'll see here that this says October 2025. I made that the starting month and the current month, even though obviously that is not accurate. And then what I pulled in here were the numbers. So if you come back to this spreadsheet, you'll see that October 2025, his student loan will be around $25,842. And then his car loan will have about $9,900 left. So that's what I brought over here. I rounded them up or down, just depending on where they were left off. And this would, of course, be in October 2025, give or take. And let me actually take out all of these extra payments, and let me show you what this looks like if he didn't make extra payments. This is going to take him quite some time. But you'll see with me taking out all of those extra payments, he would not be able to pay off all of his debt until way beyond 15 years. It would be beyond the 17 years because this is assuming it's 2025. And you'll see he would still have debt. So it would take him a long, long time if he just made the minimum payments. So that is not good because he'll be pushing well into like his 70s at that point. And we don't want him to have debt. So if I put back the $100 of extra payments per month, then he can be debt-free by August 2036, which is much better. Like you'll see that he's paying it off before the 15-year mark that this spreadsheet even goes to. So it is still going to take some time, but I think that he really should start focusing on investing, just because by the time he pays off the credit card and the personal loan, he's going to be 54 years old and not going to have that much invested. So yeah, you're going to need to focus on that. And I think you'll be at a good point after like a decade or so, you'll be debt free and then also have a decent amount invested and saved up. So for this one, I put this as October 2025 through August 2036. This should be faster because I think he will increase his income. If any lump sums of cash, he should apply those to either, I say to debt. I think if you get lump sums, then you should go ahead and just put that extra to your debt so you can save on interest and allow the money that you have invested to work a little bit more. What you're not seeing here is like this moving into the car payment, but just you can assume that that's what would happen. It would the spreadsheet over here is accounting for that snowball payment once he actually gets to paying for the car. And then the final thing that we are looking at is him being completely debt-free and forward. So this is August 2036 and beyond. By that point, you'll probably still be working. This is really hard to predict. We're going to go to an investment calculator and see what things would be looking like as far as his nest egg goes. But I think at 65, he's going to still have to be working just because of his financial situation, but unfortunately that's the reality for a lot of people. But that's okay. Like you are going to be okay. So what I did here is obviously remove all of his debts, so that's no longer accounted for. And I know that 15 years from now, a lot of these expenses are not going to look just like this, but I don't know what would change, you know? I mean, at this point, you could pop back in your mani and petties if you wanted to. I'll add that back in. But what I did add in is investing. So let me highlight this. I bumped that up to about $900. So this would be in addition to your 401k. And so this could be you putting more to your 401k, or this could be you contributing to your Roth IRA or some other investment platform. And then ideally you would continue to invest at least this much every single month until you are fully retired. So let's look at what things would look like investment wise. So we're going to hop to my favorite investment calculator. It's very simple. Of course, this is never 100% accurate. It's just a calculator, you know, but this can kind of give you an idea of what to expect. So for the next 2 years, he's going to be focusing on his credit card and his personal loan, and he'll be debt-free from both of those after about 2 years or so. He said that he has $8,000 in his 401k. I don't know if there's anything else, but I'm just assuming this is it. So the 2 years, I'm going to put a return rate of 7% because that's probably pretty likely. Compound quarterly, and I think over the next 2 years he'll be contributing at least $150 per month from his 401k. It's probably more, but I'm just going to be more conservative here, and I would say it's $150. And technically this would be higher because, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put the company match. So I did $150 because that's like 3% of his income. And if his company's matching that, it would be $300. So let's account for that too. So after 2 years, he would have, let's say $17,000. And I'm looking over here at this end balance. $17,000. And then he would be credit card debt free and personal loan debt free. And then for the 11 years after that, so he starts with $17,000. After that point, he would be investing for 11 years after that. We're going to keep the return rate at 7%, and he can probably do an extra so this is $300 from his 401k contribution plus the match, and then he can probably contribute an additional $550 to his Roth IRA or whatever he would like to invest in, and that's going to be $850. So after 11 years, $204,000. And that's not too bad. So he'll have $204K at 65 years old, and he will have paid off all of his debt at this point. And this is not accounting for anything good or bad, honestly. This isn't accounting for the lump sums of cash that I keep bringing up, but this is also not accounting for any major setbacks or emergencies. But this is kind of just a rough picture of what could happen. And then after that, let's say, so he'll be 65 at this point. We'll put this at 204,000. Oh, that right? 204,000. And let's say he continues to invest until he's 70. Let's do 2 years first. So until 67, and he's able to do 1,100. He would end up with $262,600. Or if he were to do another 5 years after 65, so until 70, he would end up with $367,000 at 70 years old. And this doesn't account for any pensions or Social Security. So that would just be on top of it. Now, is this millions of dollars and he can be super comfortable and go crazy traveling in retirement? No. But considering he is 52 years old right now, he has quite a bit of debt and not too much invested. This is a pretty good situation to end up in after, less than 2 decades. And I think that $367,000 should be able to support him fairly comfortably through retirement on top of his Social Security and any cash he may have saved up at that point. So that is that for him. Honestly, with this one, I did not have too much information. I just kind of was going off of what I did have and making a lot of assumptions here. Thank you so much to this individual for sharing your financial situation. Hopefully this was helpful. Those of you watching, let me know if I missed anything or if you would suggest something otherwise. But thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. It really supports my channel, and I'll see you in my next one.